and welcome to Wayward Spirit TV. So today we are going to start a new segment called Wayward History, where I explain the history of things we see in supernatural, like pentagrams, witches, and today's topic, Halloween. My personal favorite holiday, unlike Sammy. My supernatural fans know what I'm talking about. Also, my supernatural fans know what I'm wearing. So this is my Halloween costume. I am Cass, my little friend right here. And I was Cass last year, and now I'm Cass again because I finally got the badge. So yeah. Anyway, I'm very excited. I love dressing up as Cass. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I just love it. It just brings me so much joy. So I thought I would dress up in my Halloween costume to tell you the history of Halloween. Have you ever wondered what the real history of Halloween is? Well, I am here to tell you all of the spooky details of my personal favorite holiday. Halloween originates from the Celtic festival Samhain and is spelled Samhain, like it is pronounced in Supernatural, but it is pronounced Samhain, which can be confusing at times. It is. But it started around 2,000 years ago in what we would now consider Ireland, the UK, and France. So Samhain means summer's end, and it was the celebration of the crops that they were able to produce during the harvest season, spring and summer. And this festival was basically denoting the start of winter. Back then, November 1st was actually their new year because they went from the warmer seasons where they could produce crops to the winter seasons where a lot of them actually died. In this festival, they would eat a lot of food and make food to honor the dead. And of course, the dead couldn't eat the food, so they would end up giving it to those less fortunate who did not have food at the time. And like I said, a lot of people died in the winter months because it was so cold and it was hard to produce crops. So they wanted to celebrate the summer months and be grateful for what they were able to produce during that time. They also believed that on the night before the new year, which is Halloween, now modern day Halloween, the veil between the living and the dead was lifted and the ghosts returned to earth. This festival had many rituals that linger in our modern day way of celebrating Halloween. And back then they would have bonfires and wear costumes to ward off evil ghosts. They would also tell each other's fortunes to kind of calm the nervousness of the upcoming winter months. So the fortunes would always be very positive and hopeful. In 43 AD or BC, the Roman Empire conquered a majority of Celtic land. And within 400 years that they had power, Samhain was merged with two Roman festivals, Fieralea and Pomona. Fieralea was a Roman festival where they remembered and celebrated the dead, much like the Celtics did during Samhain. And Pomona was a festival that celebrated the Roman goddess of fruit and trees on the second day of the festival, which also is kind of like the Celtic Samhain because they were celebrating the crops that they were able to grow. And one tradition that has stuck till today and was influenced by the Roman goddess of fruit and trees is bobbing for apples because her symbol was an apple. And when the 9th century came around, Christianity became very popular. And in 1000 AD or BC, the Christian church decided to make All Souls Day to honor the dead. And most believe they did this because they wanted to basically replace Samhain's Celtic practices, though both holidays were celebrated pretty similarly. The other church-sanctioned holiday during what would have been Samhain is All Saints' Day, and the name Halloween actually comes from this holiday. It went from All Hallows Day to All Hallows Eve, and then it eventually turned into Halloween. And every single time I hear All Hallows Eve, I think of Halloween Town or Hocus Pocus. Both movies I love. And Halloween actually made its way to America during the Irish potato famine, when a lot of Irish immigrants came to America and introduced them to the celebration of Halloween. Though not everyone was very receptive to this holiday at first. One of those being the Christian church, mainly because they wanted to keep All Souls Day and All Saints Day as the primary holiday. And so throughout time, the Christian church has actually demonized the history of Halloween because it has originated with Celtics and pagans. And this idea of Halloween being demonic and having demonic origins actually came from the British engineer Charles Valiancy, who visited a Samhain festival, but he didn't understand the culture very much. And all he saw were like bonfires and rituals, and he wasn't really sure what was going on. But he decided to write a book about it anyway. And of course, he did not say Samhain, he said Samhain, which is Samhin, which I think maybe that's where the spelling and pronunciation error comes about. Maybe that's why there's like this disconnection between spelling and pronunciation. Of course, they probably had different pronunciation back in those days anyway, but I digress. So Charles believed that they were actually worshiping a Celtic god named Samhain, who is the god of the dead. And he believed that they were doing like human sacrifices and that the festival had demonic like underlyings, which I talked about this in a podcast episode for Wayward Spirit Pod. It's episode 40 if you want to check it out. But basically in Supernatural, that's what they depict as Samhain, is the god of death. And in the episode, they actually wear masks or put stuff on their face so Samhain can't see them. And that is another reason that he thought that they were wearing masks at the festivals. And he kind of got that area right. Like they were wearing masks at the festivals, not for Samhain, but because they thought that the veil was thinnest on that day, on the night before the New Year, which would be November 1st for them. And they were honoring their family and friends that had died, but if the veil is open, then bad spirits can come through too. So what they did is they wore masks so the bad spirits wouldn't see them and their family and friends would just reveal themselves to them. And so that was basically the gist of the festival and what they were celebrating, and why they were wearing masks and wearing masks comes from for Halloween. But Charles obviously didn't talk to anyone at the festival, and he just assumed what was going on. And though some portions of the Christian Catholicism church does not approve of Halloween, it still continued to be practiced. It did get very Christianized throughout the years, much like other pagan symbols and holidays, which we are going to be talking about on this new segment. So instead of honoring dead friends and family, like what the Celtics did, they decided to honor dead Christian heroes. They also started something called souling in the 16th century, where people would walk around and go door to door and ask for soul cake in exchange for prayers. And this was mostly the people in the city that did not have a lot of money. And they did this because back then they started to believe in purgatory. And they believed that if you didn't give enough money or tithings to the church, then you would be in purgatory. And so, the people in the village that didn't have a lot of money, what they would do is they would go souling, and they'd go around and they would ask for like soul cake for food or a cake, and in exchange for prayers. So the person who didn't have any money would pray for them, and that would help them get out of purgatory whenever they die. So it's kind of the start of trick-or-treating. And in the 17th century, a Briton guy named Guy Fawkes indirectly changed Halloween as we know it. So Guy was a part of a group of Catholics that wanted to assassinate the current pope. And their first attempt failed, and Guy was actually the one who got caught with explosives underneath the house. And instead of ratting everybody out, he took the rap all by himself. So naturally, those who supported this cause started celebrating Guy Fawkes Day, which is actually on November 5th. But somehow people started doing the things they did on Guy Fawkes Day on Halloween. You'll see. So, but this day they would have bonfires, they drank, they ate, and most importantly, they went house to house with masks asking for money and threatening vandalism if the people in the house did not comply. And as the British came to North America, so did the Guy Fawkes tradition. In New England, the Puritans refused to celebrate this, though, and Halloween, and Christmas, and Easter, because of the pagan roots, which, yes, Christmas and Easter do have pagan roots. So, yes, and I'm going to do videos about those too. But when the British came, they continued to celebrate Halloween and Guy Fawkes Day, but the Puritans weren't really for it, but I mean, it's continued. But fast forward to 1912 in Hithawa, Kansas, which Kansas, I love that this is in Kansas. Again, my Supernatural fans get it. Elizabeth Krebs was tired of her house and garden getting vandalized every Halloween. So as you can see, Guy Fawkes Day kind of meshed into Halloween because apparently in the 1900s, for a while, that's what kids were doing on Halloween. They were like vandalized. And in the 1920s, it was like a whole thing too, where kids would just like go out on Halloween and just like vandalize things. They would just vandalize things. And so the two holidays kind of meshed at some point. And Elizabeth Krebs in Kansas was very tired of this always happening to her on Halloween night. So she decided to plan a party, like a Halloween party for all the kids, in hopes that they would just like dress up, have fun, and leave her house alone. But that didn't happen. All the kids in the neighborhood went to the party, but they still vandalized her house. So in 1914, she decided to get the whole entire town involved. They hired a band, they started a costume contest, and essentially created the first Halloween Day parade. And such a fitting place for Halloween parades to get started. Kansas, just saying. Anyway. But this time it worked. The whole town had so much fun celebrating Halloween that no one decided to vandalize anything. And this started to catch on in other cities and other states. And that is how Halloween parties and parades and celebrations kind of started. And though Halloween has changed and evolved over the years, many still celebrate Samhain today, mainly modern Wiccans, Celtics, and pagans. And transformation is basically what is being celebrated in this holiday today. The transformation from winter to summer, the transformation from light to dark. And when you think about it, Halloween does have this transformation theme to it. We transform on a night to make all the scary things we think about not so scary. We want to turn into the things that we find spooky, maybe to lessen our fear of it. And that's the sort of transformation happening not only in our appearance, but within us. So, yeah, I think that's kind of cool. All right. Well, that is the history of Halloween. And if you know any more facts or anything like that, comment down below. Also, tell me what you're dressing up as for Halloween. I want to know. Comment below. And if you want to know where I got these facts, I will put the resources down below. Also, there will be links to my new, so I made a new design and it's really cute. It has to do with Cass, so I have to say it. It says, "I'm your Huckleberry," and it has wings and a cowboy hat, and it's really cute. So check it out on Redbubble. I will put the link below. You should totally buy a sticker. So worth it. Anyway, please subscribe and maybe think about checking out another video after this. It really helps me out. And yeah. Well, all right. I hope everyone has the best Halloween ever, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to stay spooky. Bye.